In times of crisis, it's always assuring to know the president will stand by and do absolutely nothing. This is just another day. A lot of people say you should never meet your heroes. I mean, I don't think that. Then again, the progressive lady could not have been nicer when I asked her to sign my face. But meeting the people that you admire most can be awkward, uncomfortable, and sometimes downright dangerous.
In some breaking news, this picture has just emerged during an Oval Office announcement about an obesity drug where a guest standing next to Donald Trump fainted.
We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today we... Oh, you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
Now, just so no one is worried, this man is totally okay. He merely got a little lightheaded. Probably just his brain working overtime as the result of attending a press conference on obesity led by this guy. But as they say, in times of crisis, people reveal their true selves. So take a look again at who RFK reveals himself to be.
But today we... Oh, you okay? Gordon, you okay?
Now, while it looks like RFK, the head of Health and Human Services, was fleeing the scene, thereby providing neither health nor human services, he was actually doing something constructive, which was leaving to call his medical advisor, Aaron Rodgers. But if you're wondering how the leader of the free world handled this little medical emergency, wonder no longer. Is there a photo more emblematic of this president's outlook on life? This is a man who sees pain and suffering right in front of him and chooses to ignore it. And look, to be fair, I don't expect Donald Trump to hit the floor and suddenly start administering CPR. For one, I don't think his tiny hands are capable of exerting any measurable amount of force, but I do think showing some degree of concern for another human being right in front of you is a worthy trait for our president to have, as opposed to facing forward and retreating in his mind to the protective warmth of his gold-encrusted office. I mean, even Dr. Oz recommended the smallest dose of empathy.
If you see someone whose knees are beginning to buckle and their eyes are going back, don't watch what happens. These folks will actually get hurt worse by the fall than by dealing with what underlying condition may have been, low blood sugar, etc. So if you just give the person a bear hug, even if you don't know them, guide them to the floor gently, put them, and then lift their legs up to get their blood pressure up. That's, you don't have to go to medical school to learn that.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go tackle a pregnant woman about to ingest Tylenol. By the way, you didn't have to go to medical school to learn that is clearly the mantra of Trump's health agencies. But ignoring the suffering of others is who this man is, and that horrific personality trait is highlighted with every word that comes out of his mouth. Take today, when after the fainter was removed, Trump got back to bragging about how great things are going for everyone.
Walmart just pushed out a report that says this year's traditional Thanksgiving meal will cost 25% less than it did under the Biden administration.
Under the Biden administration, a Thanksgiving meal with all the trimmings cost 25% more. In other words, our Thanksgiving this year coming up will cost 25% less than Sleepy Joe Biden's.
That's right. The presidency is a serious job that requires your full, undivided attention. If Sleepy Joe couldn't hack it, then he deserves scorn from his completely alert successor.
People can sleep again because they can breathe as when they go to bed.
I guess passing out in the Oval Office is all the rage today. But asleep or awake, Trump is right. Walmart's Thanksgiving meal will cost less this year than it did last year, but that could be because this year, there's less in it. The 2025 Walmart Thanksgiving meal contains 15 items, while the 2024 meal contained 21 items. Additionally, most of the brand name items in the 2024 meal were replaced with great value items, which is kind of like saying you bought a car for 25% less than it cost last year, but failing to mention the fact that your new sweet ride lacks tires, seats, and a steering wheel. But again, ignoring the suffering of others is Donald Trump's bread and butter. Thanks to Trump's chaotic trade war, for example, farmers and ranchers all across the country are hurting. And despite what Trump declares, the cost of beef is up in this country, and so, in an attempt to bring those prices down, the president is planning to import more beef from Argentina. And American cattle ranchers hate this idea. Or, to put it another way,
we only have one thing, beef, because the cattle ranchers are doing well.
They are doing well. So let's hear how well they're doing.
We've seen the value of our calves go down $50 to $100 a head.
This is going to negatively impact producers while doing almost nothing for consumers.
I don't think we should be looking for new markets to purchase beef. We have the capacity to raise those animals right here.
I wanted to ask you about you and other cattle ranchers that have said that importing beef from Argentina does carry this risk of parasites or biohazards like this New World screwworm. What are you learning about this? Should we all be worried about this?
Should we all be worried about something called a screwworm? I mean, I would say so. Probably something that we should consult the Secretary of Health and Human Services about. But something tells me that worm infections aren't too big of a deal for the guy. And if you're looking for yet another example of Trump looking the other way when it comes to the plight of others, how about the cost of Trump's tariffs, which are not being paid by other countries, but are a tax on American consumers? Well, for Trump, facts are the same as people fainting. He just chooses to look away.
Do you agree then that Americans are paying those tariffs?
I think, no, I don't agree. I think that they might be paying something, but when you take the overall impact, the Americans are gaining tremendously.
Isn't it so great to have a glasses half full guy in the White House? Sure, some see the fact that factory employment has dropped by more than 40,000 jobs since April, and recent producer price index reports show that businesses are beginning to raise their wholesale prices and view that as a giant fucking problem. But those people are just negative Nellies. They can't see that overall they're going to be in much better shape when they can't afford to buy things. The reality is, how can we expect a guy to care about the nameless, faceless people across the country who are not fortunate enough to be in his tax bracket if he's not even concerned with the man fainting 5 feet away from him? I mean, this person was someone Trump actually liked, someone who managed to get into the Oval Office. Can you imagine if this happened to a Democrat while they were in the Oval Office? Trump would have jumped from the top rope. So what this shows is that everyone in America needs to disabuse themselves of this notion that there is any chance of appealing to Donald Trump's sense of empathy, because, like Lauren Boebert's discretion at a musical, it literally does not exist. Donald Trump is who he is. He doesn't care about the suffering of Thanksgiving shoppers, cattle ranchers, people being taxed by his tariffs, or even the guy standing 2 feet away from him in his own office, any more than he cares about the 17 million people getting kicked off of Medicaid, or 24 million people who will see their premiums surge, or the 42 million Americans being hurt by his refusal to provide SNAP benefits. He is a man myopically focused on accumulating wealth and power for himself and his family. Others be damned. And to think otherwise would be to do so at our own peril. And so the only recourse then is to win just like we did on Tuesday. We need to stay active, mobilized, and unlike this guy, awake.